Good morning, welcome to another update, and as discussed we're going to discuss older altcoins which are, well, Litecoin, EOS, those type of coins we're going to discuss right now as they are not moving too much and people are still focused on them and wondering when are these going to move. Well, I'm going to give you some insights on how to approach those cycles or those coins, and that's what we're going to discuss today. But before that, do not forget to subscribe to the channel beneath and also like this video, so we can hit the 100k subscribers soon, and then we can place the play button in the back of this channel. First one I'm going to discuss is Litecoin. I guess most of those older coins are in trend with ETH, and ETH has shown some strength but still has to break out of the Bitcoin pair. We have been discussing that on and on the YouTube channel. Litecoin in itself is showing a very interesting accumulation period right now, in which this accumulation is going to bring us a new opportunity for a massive breakout. And in general, majors have been making a very significant move again in the USDT values in the past months, and now we can see that we're consolidating, just making itself ready for the next big breakout. And when it comes to Litecoin, it's still in a downtrend. The only very interesting point of, interesting point in general here is the volume accumulation that has been happening in the past months. Right now, volume is draining down, signaling that we most likely get a big breaker either way. But what are we looking at? Well, I've got it in this picture here, and it may be even drawn a little bit lower, but it's the same figure as what we have been experiencing with Litecoin in previous years. So when you look at Litecoin in 2018 or 2017, you can see that it comes back into lower areas. And then once it starts to flip or make a higher low, that is your entry trigger, and it granted a nice move of like 150%. Similarly, in 2020, we had a very small move here as well, just because of those higher lows or retest either way. Through which the same example can be given from the current structure of the price. Since 2017, Litecoin has been a very terrible investment, as it lost tons of value against Bitcoin. But right now, given this volume accumulation, given the structure on the USD value, given that it's also being accepted by PayPal, it might be interesting to keep your eyes out on Litecoin. One of those scenarios is that it flips this 3800 level for support. If it does that, then we can assume that we're going to see further strength on the markets, and then we're going to see an impulse wave towards at least here, but most likely we just start up a new bull cycle in which the 100 MA and 200 MA become support as well. You know that I'm not using those indicators too much, but when I do, the 100 and 200 MA derive when something is bull or bear. So once it breaks above those moving averages and flips them for support, that is a very critical point of interest, as most likely many people are using that. So one point of interest is the flip of 3850 for Litecoin, but it can also be this area that we have at 3540 to like 36. If that flips as well, that might be a first point of interest already, as then we are making some higher lows in general. As you know, higher time frames switch or become bullish after lower time frames become bullish. So if you see some of those slight movements already, then you could be looking at a potential interesting point for buys. So Litecoin is getting there, but it has to flip 3550 first, and then 3800 to 39 on the Bitcoin pair. And when we look at the USDT pair, we can see that it's still in an accumulation phase, right? I'm going to make it auto, in which we have derived some critical levels that it had to hold on to. It got a beautiful bounce. Then similarly, the same level was derived here, got a beautiful bounce. If you do it on the upside, you can see that we've got this entire resistance zone here through which we couldn't break through. And most likely we're going to get something like this, in which we make another bounce sideways, and then we get the compression period, or when people use classical trading structures or patterns, we make a bull flag. And in general, these were your entry points, which makes it a very easy or interesting simple trade. There's another one which is around 185, so I would still be looking at anything in this region to take the entry point. But right now, the focus should be more on the Bitcoin pairs, which I've been discussing way more, through which the Bitcoin pairs give you an analysis on when you should be buying a certain altcoin and when it could be outperforming against Bitcoin. As in a bull cycle, your target is to make more Bitcoin. So Litecoin is currently chasing a very nice compression period, and once it starts to break out of this compression, I think the Bitcoin pair is going to be in a bull cycle, and I would not be surprised to see Litecoin running towards at least $500 or more. And there's some more of those older altcoins which are still most likely accumulating right now. If we look at EOS, it made a full retrace of its entire bull cycle in 2018. In which it just went all the way down, and now finally we can see that we've got volume accumulation. We can see that the volume is increasing on the chart of EOS, through which there's also these bullish divergence hitting up or heating up, which generates another argument for a potential bull cycle, and next to that we are flipping above the 100 MA. Still, it's going to take some time until these moving averages are going to cross and that we can have a real cycle. But right now we can see that the downwards test for a new low got rejected and we made a bullish divergence and double bottom construction. So what are we looking at for EOS when we zoom in right now? When we zoom in, we are also looking at this Bitcoin pair in a way that we want to see flips, right? So essentially, this higher low here granted this move, and now we are looking at a similar higher low construction in which anything around 790 to 810 sats, so this range, becomes support. If that happens, I'm going to assume that we get a rally towards this range around 1250. So you're looking at a potential entry point for EOS here that would grant another move up, and then we're going to look for another higher low, and then we might start a bull cycle as we flip above the 200 and 100 MAs. When we look at EOS in the structure of the USDT value, we can see that we're seeing strength right now, but still EOS is way far behind on the all-time high of 2017. And next to that, once again, historical price action gives you some very interesting points, as this entire region got a retest after this big surge upwards, right? So what are you looking at right now with EOS? Well, frequently we're going to make a massive breakout, but any of the interesting points for longs are found around $4.30. Based on the daily time frame, you're looking at anything in this region for the potential support resistance test. And when we add the 4-hour chart on EOS, we can look at the 490 area as well. So now you've got two entry points for EOS. If you want to get into a position, and most likely we're going to have a nice breaker either way, and I would not be surprised if EOS is going to run to at least $8 or $10. It's just patience in the markets, as that is usually what has to happen if something starts to move. And once again, if you want to have a position, you have to have that position when everybody's still in a very bearish way speaking about a certain asset, and not in the hype as that some other coins are. That's where the money can be found. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow for a fresh new market update, and I wish you a wonderful weekend.